So when I was a student, I used to think a lot about this. That because I'm a foreign trained lawyer, maybe I'm not gonna end up where I want to end up. Or I am going to be treated differently than other Canadian law school graduates. And this is something that I believed, that I will be treated differently. Now that I am in practice, I'd like to say that the answer to this question is no. Foreign trained lawyers are not treated differently. However, I do think that there are certain skills and certain things that are valued more in Canada, and maybe foreign lawyers don't understand that. And that is why they may not get opportunities that they really want. Now, confidence is one of the main things that is valued in Canada. As a foreign lawyer, and including me, when I was a student and I'd go to these interviews, I would present myself as someone who had a little bit of, who was not that confident being a foreign lawyer. And again, this is the story that people have told you, or this is what you hear from colleagues, or this is what you hear from anybody else. But don't believe someone else's story, because that's not your story. So what I'd like to say is that foreign trained lawyers are not treated differently. What's treated different is, are you confident? Do you know what you want to do? And how do you present yourself in front of an employer or anyone else that you meet? Are you able to have a good conversation with somebody that you meet? And sometimes I find that because foreign trained lawyers are new to Canada, they may not understand this, or they may not feel confident, or they may not know how to sell themselves in front of an employer. And all of these things combined, sometimes they won't get those opportunities. So what I'd like to do is sort of talk about what are some of the skills, or what are some things that you can do so that you don't think about this question. Rather, you're thinking about it like, oh, do I have this skill or not? The first thing that I'd like to talk about is confidence. Now, you will be treated differently if you are not confident in what you say and the way that you say it. If you go up to an employer and you say, well, I'm a foreign lawyer, I don't know what I want, this is too hard for me, I've been trying to get a job, but I can't. Now, if you say that, then it's not that you're a foreign trained lawyer that you are being treated different, it's because you don't know what you want. And if an employer sees that, they're just going to think that you're not going to have the motivation to do what they want you to do. And it took me a while to understand that, because at the end of the day, as a foreign lawyer, everyone goes through this. So if you are not confident in what you want and how do you present what you need, then you will be treated differently in Canada. Because it's a lot about how you present yourself. What skills do you bring to the table? I recently was invited at Osgoode Professional Development, and I spoke about this topic there as well. And one of the main things that I said, again, is sort of confidence. If you're not confident, then you will be treated differently. And if you think that you need to gain more confidence, and if you think that you have to do something to get there, then that's something that you should work on. Nothing else. The second thing that I would like to talk about is you will be treated differently, or you may not get a job, or you may not have people call you back after interviews if you don't show that you are interested in them and the place that they're working at. And it's not about like telling them what you know about the place that they're working at. It's about asking all the right questions, asking them good questions, and that shows that you're interested in sort of learning more about them. Now, just giving you an example, our firm recently did some interviews, and I was part of the interviews, and sometimes we'd had people who answered all the questions that we'd ask them, but never asked us anything. And that showed us that, well, is this person really interested in working for us? Because they didn't ask us anything. And then there were people who asked us really good questions. And the questions don't have to be complicated questions about the practice area or anything. It could be general questions that about them or about their firm that you're interested in. And when I was a student, I had many interviews. And just a story time, I guess. I was interviewed at the ministry, one of the ministries in Ontario, and they conducted my interview. And in the end, they're like, "Do you have any questions for us?" And I just asked them two questions and did not say anything, did not have a conversation with them. And I was not obviously hired there. And then when I asked them for feedback, this is what they told me. They said, "Well, you didn't seem like you were too interested in working here." And so I was like, that makes a lot of sense. Last thing that I would say is that if you don't know what you want, that is okay, but you can't say that. You can't say, "I don't know what I want to do." You need to know what you want and how you're going to get there. And it may not make sense, but the fact that you know it shows that you're confident in your ability to achieve it. It's a lot more about, I would say, it has less to do with law than more of psychology, to be honest with you. And that's why I always recommend meet as many people as you can and practice this. And so that once you get to the stages of interviews or whenever, hopefully, you're a lawyer, this is something that you don't have to think about then. And so I actually recommend a book that you can read in order to sort of make a good impression on people. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I don't know how to pronounce the last name, but this is the book. I just have it here. I highly recommend that you read that because it talks about a lot of stuff that I'm saying. There's so much light. But it talks about a lot of stuff that I'm saying is that how do you present yourself? How do you sort of communicate? How do you show that you're confident? So I highly recommend that you read that book. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that this was helpful, and let me know if you have any questions and I'm happy to answer them.